nobody was really sure exactly where it came from or when. It was just kind of there in the morning. A big box. And on the front of the box, a mirror. And it was not a normal mirror. I mean, certainly it was silvery and it reflected. But somehow it had a narrow depth of field. And by which I mean it didn't reflect the whole scene. It would reflect the one or two people right in front of it. And then everything else was kind of out of focus. So that was a curious enough trick. But that was not all. Now the box was just around the corner from Ollie's apartment building. Kind of across the street and up the street from like the Bank of America and the Chipotle on the other side of the street. It was a little bit south of there. But what was especially remarkable about this particular mirrored box was that it showed not normal reflections. It showed people dressed up in strange costumes that they weren't actually wearing. It was very strange. For example, one person would walk by, and though they were wearing normal street clothes, the box would show them in a marching band uniform, or dressed up like Sherlock Holmes, or any number of things.
Or Sherlock Fox.
Shh, Elsa, be quiet, honey. Do not jump up like this. This is a bedtime story, Elsa. Any number of things. And it quickly became an object of some significant interest. And people would walk by and see what costume it put on them. And they might walk by again, and they would put a different costume on. And that seemed to have a huge range of costumes. They weren't sure if it was reading their minds or how it was doing that. It was all very strange. And before long, everybody on the block was paying attention to this box, watching to see what it would do to people next. Ollie was interested too. He saw the commotion and walked over. And he walked by, and it dressed him up kind of like the villain from The Little Mermaid.
Ursula?
Right.
Of course.
Yeah.
He's an octopus.
Elsa, I need you to be quiet. Elsa, that's enough. Yeah, so put him in like a black dress with pearls and made his skin purple. I mean, he could make his skin purple if he wanted to. Sweetheart, I really need you to stop chiming up with commentary. This is a bedtime story. And I thought that was kind of funny and also interesting. And so he watched it for a while as different people came by. Different people, went on it. And as he stared, he wanted to figure it out. He climbed up a tree nearby and saw that it was powered by two big solar panels up on the roof. Made sense. And the box itself was not huge, about the size of, like, those red box, the movie rental things at the grocery store? About that size. And he could hear some humming, some fans maybe, inside. But it didn't seem to be, there weren't any cables going out to anything else. It looked heavy. Ollie sort of pushed it a little bit with his arm rather, and it didn't, move. So it was heavy, a solid box. He sat there and he looked at it, he watched it. And he watched people go by and see what it turned them into. It was very clever. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes the costume would lag the person a little bit. Like it wasn't totally lined up on their body. But most of the time, It was doing a good job. Then Ollie stood and he noticed something. He realized that he wasn't sure it was 100% a mirror. Because it looked pretty much the same. The image on the mirror looked the same as Ollie moved around. So one person was standing there, and they were dressed up like a sea captain from an old vaudeville movie. And they sat there laughing and being amused, and Ollie walked in a half circle around as that person stood there, and he noticed that the image on the mirror didn't really change all that much, which it should have if it was a mirror, if it was really a mirror. So then Ollie began to wonder, is it a mirror at all? Ollie got up really close to it and looked at it. He poked it a little bit. Many people complained because they were highly amused by this thing. I was like, I gotta know what's going on here. This is strange. I'm a little concerned that something nefarious is going on here. The people said, no, don't worry about it. It's just some like public art thing. You know, it's Baltimore. There's public art things all the time. Just last week, there was a lady doing flaming hula hoops, you know, just down the street. That wasn't anything nefarious. I said, that's true. That was pretty cool. I'm still not sure how she didn't catch her dress on fire. I said, yeah, so don't worry about it, man. Just let us enjoy the weird art installation thing. So I said that was a reasonable, you know, rationale. So we went across the street and got a boba tea from the place there that did that. And he just sat and watched. And he noticed, looked around him, and everybody was watching. Even the security guard stood at the corner near the bank. Had gone halfway across the street to watch from the median. And that's when just after Ollie noticed that, Ollie noticed the person running out of the bank. Well, that's unusual. Ollie put down his boba tea and ran after them. The person had turned the corner, but Ollie was on him pretty fast. He had a big backpack, and he could see some dollar bills sticking out at the top. Ollie ran after him and ran after, caught up with him only half a block up, grabbed onto his legs, said, stop or I'll take you down. So the guy stopped. He said, what are you doing? Let me go. What are you doing, octopus? Put me down. Let me go. And I said, I'm not letting go until you tell me what's going on here. And the guy said, I don't know you anything, you weird octopus person. And the guy kicked at Ollie, tried to get him off his legs. So Ollie followed through on what he said, and Ollie twisted and squeezed, and the guy came crashing down. And bam, on the sidewalk. I said, ah, my arm, you jerk, what's wrong with you? I said, you just robbed a bank. That's what's wrong with me. Nobody robs a bank on my watch. And as the guy went down, some sort of device skittered out of his bag. And there was a bit of a struggle, but the guy had hurt his arm on his way down. Ollie got to the device. He pocketed that. And held the guy down. Around about that time, as they were struggling, one of the bank manager and security guard came around the corner and saw what was going on. They ran up and they grabbed the guy, and the security guard put the guy in zip tie handcuffs. He said, what are you doing? What do you think you're doing? You can't just grab cash like that. I said, obviously I know I can't. I'm a bank robber. I'm not an idiot. The guy said, okay, but you're going to jail, pal. Oh, I said, all right, but hold on a second. What's this remote about? I said, I don't have to tell you anything. You're some crazy octopus that tackled me on the street. I don't know you anything. I said, yeah, you mentioned that, but what does it do? I said, I'm not telling you nothing. I said, well, I'll tell you what. I see a big button here. Should I just press it? I said, do what you like. So Ollie pressed it. And then he heard the sound of a bunch of people going, oh, man, bummer, around the corner. I said, you guys got him? The security guard said, yeah, I got him. Don't worry. Police are on their way. I walked back around the corner. And he saw a bunch of people that were now grumbling and sort of poking at the mirror box. I put two and two together pretty quickly. And he pressed the button again. And all of a sudden the crowd was making happy noises again. Hey, yeah, go on this back. Yeah, all right, cool, cool. Well, they pressed the button and they grumbled. He pressed the button again and they were, happy again. So Ollie walked over. And he pressed the button again. And what was happening was when he pressed the button, the image on the mirror disappeared. And I pressed the button again, and it came back. And in fact, when he turned it off, it wasn't just a mirror. When he turned it off, the whole, what he thought was a mirror, went black. Well, I turned it on again. Then he went to take another, even more close look at the box. And he did it that time. He noticed that there was a panel on the backside that had thumb screws. So he unscrewed them and opened it up. And from there, he could actually crawl inside. Inside this box, it was actually way more simple than Ollie expected. Because inside he could see that the mirror was actually a screen. And there was a projector projecting onto that screen. And up above that he could see a camera poking out. The whole thing led to a computer in one corner. The computer was set up running this simulation, running this program. It was kind of like a Snapchat filter or a TikTok filter. All it was a really upscaled, elaborate Snapchat filter that this guy had set up. And then all of a sudden it clicked. It all made sense. Ollie went back over. The police hadn't arrived yet, but they'd taken the money out of the backpack and sat him down on the curb. And I said, it's a distraction. I said, what are you talking about? Your mirror box. It's all a distraction. I said, yeah, it's a distraction, so what? So I said, what's your deal? I said, well, nobody's around. No cops here, so I'll tell you. I was a computer programmer. I made apps. I made photo apps for, I don't know, a couple different companies, but the money was no good. And times got tough. So I figured out a way that I could, well, I thought, make a quick buck. Get everybody staring at the shiny object over in the corner. And it almost worked. Even the security guard was over there staring at my magic mirror box. Then you had to get involved. What's your deal? I said, my name? Me? I'm Ollie the Octopus, Private Eye. And that was the case of Ollie and the magic mirror.